Welcome to the Self-Reliant Steward podcast. I'm your host, Damia. On this podcast, I will share stories, scriptures, words of the prophets, and research to help you, Latter-day Saint parents, teach your teens, and create a financial legacy of self-reliance. No more living paycheck to paycheck. No more going in and out of debt. Start today to change your family's life for the better by becoming a wise steward of what the Lord has blessed you with. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Self-Reliant Steward podcast. I'm your host, Damia. Today we are continuing our series of mistakes teens make with money. I want to help shed a light on these mistakes and help you to help your children avoid or overcome these mistakes. So thank you for being here. Today's money trivia question is, what is the average hourly wage for teenagers in the United States? According to Forbes, in 2023, it's $15. Today's mistake teens make with money we are going to talk about is relying on their parents without making an effort to become self-reliant. According to a Pew Research study, about 1/3 of young adults in the United States live with their parents. Now, I need to be really clear here. I'm not saying it is always a problem for young adults to live with their parents. Confession, I live with my parents right now. I'm what they call a boomerang child. I moved out to go to college, and then when COVID hit, I moved back in with my parents. My goal is to move out in 2024. I want to play a role in helping you to help your teens when they become young adults to move out sooner than I am, when appropriate for your child, of course. Always be praying for guidance specifically for each of your children. Each of their paths towards self-reliance will likely be different. I think young adult children living with their parents becomes a problem when young adults are not trying to become self-reliant and to get to a point where they can and do move out and live on their own without their parents' financial help. I know there are situations where an adult child needs to live with his or her parents. I think it is great when parents have the means to help their adult children. It becomes a problem when young adults stay reliant on their parents. It hinders their progress in life and can put a burden on their parents. A great first step to help children and teens to become self-reliant is to help them develop a good work ethic at home through doing chores. Now, what if your child refuses to do any work or get a job? I know a woman who experienced this with her son. He refused to do dishes or any cleaning or any help around the house. What this mom had to do was to stop doing her son's laundry. Then he had a choice to make. He could either do his own laundry or he could wear dirty clothes. He started doing his own laundry. The next step after giving your teen responsibilities around the house is to have them get a job. Whether that be an in-person job, doing something online to make money, or starting their own business, your teens can start making money. Now make sure if they're doing something online that it is a legitimate job, but there are definitely jobs that they can do online. There are so many benefits to teens working a job. A research study from 2010 states, quote, "We find evidence that work experience can promote the healthy development of some young people, especially when it is moderate in intensity and steady in duration, attributes that assure that employment does not interfere with other important elements in a teen's life, and instead foster an appropriate balance between school and work." End quote. Your teens can gain work experience that will help them in getting better jobs in the future. Work ethic is developed, connections are made, learning takes place, time management skills are developed, and teens receive an opportunity to practice managing their money when they have jobs. For your benefit, imagine not having to pay for sports equipment, piano books, school trips, or other things your teenagers want to participate in. When my dad was a teenager living in Utah, he worked a lot. He made and sold bread every day, Monday through Friday, and earned $4 a day. He did yard work throughout all of high school during the good weather months. Beginning at age 16 and throughout all of high school, he worked a part-time job as well at a movie theater. A friend of his from band class introduced him to her older sister, who was the manager of the movie theater. With the money from these jobs, my dad was able to pay for a school trip to Germany for an exchange program, 2 band tours, a history trip, and a trip to the National Scout Jamboree. That's 5 high school trips. He sure made a lot of money. Now you might be thinking, that's cool that your dad did that, but that was decades ago, and wages and prices have changed. Let me share some current numbers with you. As we talked about with today's money trivia question, in the United States, the average hourly wage for teenagers is $15. If a teen worked 15 hours a week during the school year, he or she could earn $900 a month. During the summer, if he or she worked full-time, the earning potential increases to $2,400 a month. If a teen saved only 20% of their income throughout the year, they would have nearly $3,000 saved in 1 year. After 4 years, that's $12,000. What teenager do you know with $12,000? Personally, I want to know more of them. I highly recommend you encourage your teenager to start working. If they do, or if your teenager already works, I recommend you give them some financial responsibilities. You could pay for their necessities and have them pay for everything else. Or you could give them responsibility for one of their needs and all of their wants. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, it's important for teens to learn how to distinguish between wants and needs. This third step of having your teenager pay for some of their own financial... This is the third step to helping your teen become self-reliant, of having them pay for some of their things. Here are a couple of examples of what you could have your teens start paying for. First, clothing they want beyond what they need, or even their clothing altogether. Second, gas when they drive your vehicles. Third, any fun things they want to do with their friends. Have you seen what movie tickets and snacks cost lately? They are around $9 to $12, unless you want to go to the Taylor Swift concert that was in theaters a few weeks ago. Then they're $20. Let's do a little math. If your teen went to go see the Taylor Swift concert in theaters 1 week, and then a new Disney movie the next week, and they wanted a large popcorn and a treat each time, that would cost about $64. And that's just for one teen. If you have 2 teenagers, that would cost $128. Is anyone else ready to run away and hide, or is it just me? Now, if your teen worked and paid for their own fun activities, that's $64 you get to keep in your wallet. If you're ready for your teen to start working and seeing these benefits in your life and theirs, but you don't know where to start, sign up for my free 20 Best Jobs for Latter-day Saint Teens download through the link in the show notes. Now that we've talked a lot about teenagers working, let's talk some more about young adult children. I would highly recommend you have your young adult children who live with you pay you rent, especially if they're not in school. This can help you financially, and it will hopefully encourage and help them to prepare to move out. Now, when making decisions around this topic, I would encourage you to have a husband and wife council and then a family council with the child you are discussing to decide what is best for your family. When my mom was young, her parents had her take piano lessons, as many parents do. Later, when my mom's oldest brother went to college, their parents needed money to help him, so they sold their piano to their piano teacher. Her family had an organ as well, and the exchange with the piano teacher was that she would teach my mom, and probably some of her siblings, how to play the organ. None of this was explained to my mom. My mom refused to take organ lessons, and many years later, after learning the reason her parents sold the piano, my mom wishes her parents had explained the situation. She says that if they had explained the situation, she thinks she would have understood and been way more willing to learn how to play the organ. Involving your child in the decision-making process can give them some perspective, empower them, and motivate them to follow through with the plans you make. In no particular order, here are some questions you might consider thinking about, praying about, and talking with your spouse and/or teenagers or young adult children about. Number 1. When would it be an appropriate time for my child to start paying me rent? Number 2. What is an appropriate monthly price range to charge this particular child? Number 3. What expectations need to be discussed? This could be about how long they will be living with you, what they need to be doing to work on becoming self-reliant while they live with you, or what the standards are that they need to live by in your home. Number 4, what consequences would be appropriate if payments stop or expectations are not met? Number 5, would a contract be helpful to keep accountable all involved? Number 6, what would be appropriate to ask this child to report on each week so we know they are making progress towards becoming self-reliant? And number 7, how can we best support this child and provide them an environment where they can flourish? If you found this episode helpful, please leave a review and share the podcast with someone you think it would help. Next week, we will be continuing the Mistakes Teens Make with Money series and talking about the 4th of 8 common mistakes teenagers make with money and how to help them avoid or overcome these mistakes. See you next week.